Hi there, this is Steve Spurrier. You can join University of Florida Hall of Famer Shane Matthews and also the two-time SEC Player of the Year every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, opinions, and some of the biggest names in sports. You can find him on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Or you can watch him live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter.
Good morning. It's a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the International Diamond Center Studios. With locations across the state of Florida and right here in Celebration Point in the heart of Gator Nation. Go check them out. JC will meet you there. He'll go pick out a diamond ring for you to buy your lovely lady. JC, you're on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. We have you today, and then we'll have Pete Prisco from CBS Sports talk a little NFL. He goes to all the training camps, get his thoughts on what's going on in the world in the National Football League.
That's very important. You know, they have a week off before the season starts. Usually that happens the week.
Do you realize they have like a lot of there were some games last night and there are some games today, but they have like 15 to 17 days off.
Yes, they want everybody to be clear on those rosters as healthy as possible before the season starts. I get it. Wanted to give a shout out to two viewers of our show, QB, who reached out to me. One, JB White, the Rattler. Appreciate him. He wants to go have lunch. We'll make that happen, JB. And then one of our viewers from the Gulf Coast of Mississippi in Gulfport, Mississippi, Michael B. Davis, who wanted to know what I drink in the mornings on this show, which is right here and which is right here. I explained it to him. We have creatine and glutamine with beta-alanine, lots of neens, and this helps me with a little fruit punch flavoring. This helps me through my rigorous workout that I perform after I get done belly aching with you, and it's helpful. So that's what we have, and I sent that to Michael. Thank you for watching, and God bless the Mississippi Gulf Coast. So, QB, the big news yesterday, which made me really happy. I mean, we'll get to golf and all this in a minute, but the biggest news of the day yesterday, and one I think which will form and shape the opinions of this conference and the understanding of just how hard it is, with the addition of an SEC game to everyone's schedule and the mandate that they would be required to play someone from a major Power Four conference, each team, at least one team, on the schedule with the addition of 9 games. I think it is the absolute right thing to do. It will enable folks to understand the difficulties of this conference. It will not be out of the question that one or two or three playoff teams out of this conference will have 2 or 3 losses, which is perfectly fine. And don't listen to one person, QB. I know you like to hear all these people because you value many people's opinions, but don't listen to one person who tries to tell you that this will diminish the expanded college football playoffs, which this will do, will diminish any regular season game, because everybody in every SEC fan base values the wins and losses and the games that are played throughout the season on that schedule. It doesn't matter who they play. But in this case, this improves everybody's resume. It will make this conference more of a conference as opposed to an association of just teams with the common likeness and the common interests that they have. And this will allow us to have better football on the schedule for the season ticket holders and for the country. And we will have more fans because of it. This is a great move going to 9 games. And I've been pounding the table for them.
Your bell doesn't work, by the way.
Why not? You don't hear it?
I don't hear it.
All right. Well, we've been pounding the table for a good couple of years on this issue alone. Greg Sankey, whom I wasn't overly impressed with in his early days, has become the king of this sport, and I am very appreciative for his leadership in this league because I care about the SEC. I've grown up in this league. I think it's the best in football and the best in sport. College.
Yep. Brent says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, 9-game SEC schedule and Cracker Barrel changing its logo. What the hell's going on in the world? I agree, Brent.
Well, wait a minute. Well, Brent doesn't like the 9 games.
No, he probably does. He thinks it's great, but I don't.
He does.
I think he thinks Cracker Barrel made a mistake. They did.
They got rid of the old man and the
barrel. The old man in the barrel.
The most ridiculous it's another Bud Light moment for the very poor executive decisions made in the executive suite by some people that just have no idea what they're doing. And you walk through the Cracker Barrel, it's like walking through a doctor's office now. It should be an old country style barn, basically, where things are hanging up on the wall that are antiques and born of Southern and Midwestern flavor. And now we have some modernized building with a bunch of junk in it and a bad logo. So good luck, Cracker Barrel. Your stock got killed yesterday, and don't think it's not going to continue, because people don't like these ridiculous movements that take away the identity of what it is they are used to. Get Aunt Jemima back on the syrup bottle. Get the Indian back on the butter at Land of Lakes.
I agree.
Took away the Indian, they kept the land.
Give me the Redskins, give me the Indians.
Think about this. They took the Indian away and kept the land. Where have we heard that before? So get the Indian back on there. And on top of that, let's get that football helmet in D.C. the right way. Let's do that. And let's get the Cleveland Guardians back to what they really are, the Cleveland Indians. If we can have the Kansas City freaking Chiefs and the Atlanta Braves, we need the Cleveland Indians back. And the Washington Redskins. All right, that's my pontification for today. What else you want to talk about?
All right, we got a lot of people here chiming in. Monty on the Titan Mart text line said, who do you think Florida's 3 annual rivals will be?
Yeah, great question. Great question.
Georgia.
Of course. Tennessee.
I think it should be Georgia, Tennessee, and
I think it should be Auburn, frankly.
I was going to throw Auburn in there. Yeah.
They're locked into LSU for whatever reason. I don't mind dumping them and going to Auburn. Get back to that. That's the closest school in proximity and geography to Gainesville that there is in this league. Let's go to Auburn, get back to Jordan Hare, and have that nasty-looking white helmet with the AU, which is actually kind of cool.
It's a great logo. They have a great helmet.
Well, I mean, they got the AU interlocked like this.
That logo there to me is the worst logo.
Here he goes. Here he goes. Where's the consistency, QB? This is no different than the AU. It's the same.
Okay, JC.
It's just like the OU.
Take the hat off and look at the F. Take the hat off and look at the F.
Okay.
Does it not look weird to you?
No. What is weird about that F?
The little lines aren't correct.
Oh,
that second line is about it just doesn't look right.
Do you like this guy? Do you like?
I love that guy.
Okay, what's his F look like to you?
His F looks good.
And that's okay.
Yeah. The AU is proportionate. That is not proportionate. I'm a logo wizard, JC, and I hate that logo.
My God. Okay. Well, I love it. Your friend and a mine who's, God rest his soul, loved it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people love it.
My favorite logo is
the
Albert,
blue F.
Albert or the
blue F.
Call it the Pell logo.
The Pell logo?
The circle logo with the U and the F with the Gator and the state.
Oh, no.
That's the best logo. Because that was the logo when I played.
The 80s, 90s, late 80s, early 90s. I don't know. I mean, I guess people do like that logo as well, but for a helmet, this is great.
I think that's terrible for a helmet. Terrible.
Well, I love it. Kyle loved it, and that's all that matters. But, the thing is, QB, this schedule, the permanent opponents should be, and if you're asking me, and they are, and they're asking you, and we agree, Tennessee, Georgia, I say Auburn. That's
a lot of people are chiming in also. We have several looking forward. We have, I think, Notre Dame on the schedule. We have like the USFs of the world, UCFs.
Oh, I'm all right with that.
Right, but that gives you another Power 4 school. Because we're going to have 10, right? 10 out of our 12 games are going to be Power 4 schools.
Yes. Well, what do you want, 2 FCS opponents? I don't. And I think
I think what people are trying to get to is, can everyone have somewhat of a fair schedule, right? When you look at Kentucky, Florida, Georgia, and who's the other one in the SEC? South Carolina. If you go to 9 games, that puts 10 guaranteed Power 4 schools on your schedule. Okay. LSU, they're going to have to add somebody to make it fair. They're going to add a Power 4 school from somewhere to play to make 10 at least.
They're playing Clemson this year. They played Florida.
I'm not talking about this year. I'm talking about in the
know.
future. I don't know what their schedule looks like in the future, but it has not compared to what Florida, Georgia,
They played
Kentucky
and
FSU, South Carolina.
They played FSU the last 2 years. They also play on Clemson for the next 2 years, I think, and I know this year. But QB, I mean, what are we going to do? We're going to have Toledo and look. I would rather have a Big Ten.
First of all, the point of doing all of this is to make it somewhat fair across the board when it comes playoff.
No, the point of doing this is to expand the playoffs. In my mind,
right? I hope they go to the. I don't know why these people cannot just say, okay, the FCS has the perfect format. Let's use it.
Yeah. Well, they don't have.
Teams.
Well, what they don't have that you like are conference championship games.
Well, they can implement that.
Maybe they do. Hard. I don't know. But the thing is that here's the deal, that it's going to upgrade the quality of everyone's schedule in this league. It's going to help teams get better. I think broaden out the partisanship of this league. I don't think you're going to have any more 12-0 Alabamas or Georgias. And I think what you'll see is more people excited about the schedules that they look at and that they pay for. And then if you have a Big Ten team come down here, say, let's call it Illinois or Indiana or Michigan State or Ohio State coming to your yard during the year, that's great. And yeah, okay, so Florida, South Carolina, and Kentucky all have in-state rivals that are two of them they all have in-state rivals that are out of conference. Okay, that's fine. Keep that game going. Keep those.
They're going to. Barone 71 says here on YouTube.
3 losses.
Just listen. JC says you're missing the point. Other schools will book one Power 4 non-conference game. Florida has FSU every year, and thanks to Strickland, we'll have 11 to 12 Power 4 games in the future years. No one else has done that.
Strength of schedule matters, and strength of schedule makes you better. And
well, my point is you could play the non-SEC and the FSU game in 2 powder puffs, and it ain't going to hurt you.
Well, no, that's right, and that's a very good point. If you want to add 2 powder puffs, why, I don't know. That's just diluting your home schedule's quality. But if you want to do that, go ahead.
But it also gives you 2 guaranteed wins.
Well, yeah, but nobody cares. That's the point.
But when they throw up their 10-2, it will matter.
Well, if you go 10-2 with 9 conference games, I don't care who the other ones are against, and an extra Power 4 team, you're going to be fine. You're going to be just fine because the goal is to get into the playoffs, and now the goal is to get into a tournament as opposed to just winning the conference and hoping for a vote. I am so glad we are going to rid ourselves of this nonstop end of the season garbage on ESPN and everyone else where we talk about who's deserving, whose strength is this, who's better than that, whose eye test was better than that eye test. We're going to get this thing done on the field. I think Ari Wasserman says something really good on Twitter. He says the complaining about Indiana and saying things that weren't true about how strength of schedule doesn't matter was always disingenuous. So he applauds the SEC for giving us better games and furthering bolstering the ability to get the benefit of the doubt from the CFP committee come December. And that is all about strength of schedule. And now the SEC will have no problems with people complaining about them playing some Mercer team in November. And nobody cares about an automatic win anymore. That just doesn't matter. It's going to be about your resume. The committee's going to respect the SEC's resume even more than they already do. And I think this is a great thing for the future of this conference because the better players are going to want to be a part of it, even though they always come here anyway. But the partisanship is going to be, there's going to be more partisanship in this league. And I don't think you're going to see 12-0 teams pretty much ever again.
John says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law, nonsense. We don't play Miami very often. Okay, but John, you got to think about it now. If you have 9 SEC games, Florida State's 10, you throw Miami on there, that's 11. John will be the first one complaining if that schedule comes out in 2028. What the hell are we doing playing all these good teams?
Well, right? I don't think 9-3 is going to kill you in this league anymore. I think that gets you in.
You could easily go 6-6.
Well, then get better. Be a better team. Anybody who goes 6-6, there's a reason for it, regardless of the schedule.
Look, I don't have a problem with it. I'm just saying that if they're doing this, it needs to try to get more fair because it's not a fair fight in the Southeastern Conference right now.
The scheduling hasn't been fair since the 70s. I mean,
no, I'm not, and it's not ever going to be fair across the board, but it's not even close to being fair when some of these SEC teams they hardly play anybody outside the conference.
Well, that's going to change now with the mandated one Power 4 school on the conference schedule. Alabama's had a home and home with Wisconsin. South Carolina, I'm not sorry. LSU's had a home and home with an ACC school, one of the top ACC schools with Clemson and Florida State, unless we assumed Florida State was one of the top ACC schools. Florida's played Miami now for the second straight year. I don't know, man. Listen, you can't make everybody always happy. And, when you have a wedding reception and you are sitting the tables around the reception room, somebody's really not going to like sitting that far back from the dance floor. Okay, too bad. You're there. You're happy. Enjoy it. Win your games. You won't have anything to worry about. This is the right move for the league. I think it's the unanimity of that opinion, I think, validates what they did. And now you can just about guarantee a 16-team playoff because the Big Ten.
24.
Okay, well, go from 12 to 16.
Why don't we just say, let's just go to where it's going to end up at 24. Let's just get there.
Well, I don't know. But
Electronics World, integration design specialist for smart home automation and entertainment. It's Gator season, y'all. Let Electronics World bring the Florida Gators college NFL to your living room. Electronics.net.
8 days. Right. And here's the thing. A month from now, we're going to be like, my God, it's already week 4.
Yep.
Holy crap.
Alan says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Shannon, love to hear the Gator game, but listen to your color analyst broadcast. How do I listen to your broadcast? On the WRUF app, Sirius Radio. It's all over the world. You can listen to it.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And
the app would be the easiest, I guess.
So give them the trick that allows you to them to rather listen to you and turn the volume down.
Turn your TV on mute.
But then you have to
just pause it for a second and sync it up with the radio broadcast. There's another way to do it. I don't really know, but that seems like the easiest way to do it for me.
I agree.
Listen to this real quick. This is from Ronnie in Knoxville, Tennessee on the Titan MR text
line.
Ooh,
Ronnie.
Last year, you made the point that the play from the front seven would determine the outcome of the season. Is that still the case this year, or is there another specific position group that you are watching? Nope. Front seven. I'm in the minority for whatever reason. I am very concerned about the front seven.
You are. You don't like Caleb Banks and Tyler?
No. It's not that I don't like them. My eyes, and maybe after 2 games, I'll change my mind. But I don't see dominant defensive play that I saw as a player at Florida and then the next 10 years, right? I mean, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
And it could be Tyreek Sapp and those guys, and I sure hope it is. But I just have not seen guys that, if I'm game planning to play the Gator defense, who I am concerned about, that I got to say this dude or these 2 guys cannot disrupt our offense and the outcome of the game.
Well, I think one thing we're going to have this year, if they stay healthy, is a very good defensive backfield. And I think Florida's pass defense was porous. And I think with Devin Moore,
a lot of times because you can't pressure the quarterback.
I know it, but then they're going to say, well, maybe you guys need to cover somebody and give us time to get to the backfield. I don't know.
No.
You got to have a good backfield QB.
No. I like our secondary.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is they're only as good. Your secondary is only as good as your pass rush.
Okay. Well, when Urban's teams dominated defensively, when you had Major Wright, Joe Hayden,
but JC, they had a bunch of first-round draft picks.
Jenkins, that's right. I know. You did have those guys. But come on, QB. Every one of those guys in the backfield were all pros, too.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, that's why they won a national title. They had great talent.
They were great. So Burrell's got a problem with my thinking here. He says I'm missing the point. Other schools book one Power 4 non-conference game. Florida has FSU every year.
I just read that to you, JC.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Well, it's the wrong one I'm reading. He goes South Carolina plays Clemson every year.
Right. There's only 4. There's 4 teams or 5 teams in the conference that do that every year.
Yeah.
It's us, Georgia, Clemson, and South Carolina.
And Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Listen to this. My man Ross Tucker, who was a teammate of mine on multiple
Ross
teams,
Tucker.
in multiple teams. He does NFL stuff.
Right.
Listen, tell me how you feel about this tweet, JC.
Mm-hmm.
Final preseason games start tonight. He was talking about last night.
Thank God.
Hundreds of guys who have been playing football their whole lives will never put on a helmet or shoulder pads again.
Yeah.
Some know, most don't. Vast majority are best player ever from their hometown, but sadly, the dream will be over this weekend.
It shows you the odds that we quoted a while ago.
I text Ross. I said, Ross, that's pretty. It's pretty depressing.
It's very depressing, but it's called reality. And
Yeah.
one of the cliches my mom gave me, which I do remember because she wasn't a great sports fan, but she said an athlete's life is short-lived. But the thing is that you're really going up against incredible odds to make it to your fourth year in the NFL, or even to make it to the NFL. And so those guys who are there, who are going to get cut, they may find another job, or they may have to do something else like coach high school football or get with their college coach and say, hey, man, I'm ready to join your staff. So those, those are things that the football player has still in his resume, so to speak. You did it. You coached college football. You have been on the radio and the media. You're a media mogul, QB. You've been on the media ever since you quit football. And
I didn't quit. Look, again, I tell everybody, when these athletes say they're retiring and they're giving it up, it's because they're not wanted anymore.
Well, okay, but there's a reason for that too. And sometimes someone has to tell you to quit to make you quit. But the thing is, there is still a life after football, in football, for probably the majority of players if they want it. I mean, I really believe that. How many former players are now coaches in some capacity at some level? That's what they do. That's what they know. That's their life, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I think it's just called, life goes on kind of thing. You just kind of, follow through with it.
All right. Q Lee on YouTube, brought to you by Quad Plum, says it's not one person that you have to game plan on defense. Oh, yes, it is, buddy. Let me tell you, when you're game planning, when you back in the day for the New York Giants, all you cared about was Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah.
There's trust me. I've sat in so many damn offensive meetings in my lifetime, and every offensive coordinator gets up there and says, we will not let this one guy here defeat if you listen to Bill Belichick from a defensive standpoint, he says, I will take your best receiver out. Somebody else beats me, that's fine. But your best receiver is going to be double teamed the whole game.
That's right. Yep.
That's game planning.
That's
all right. This Day in Sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life at Campus USA Credit Union, where proud member Stephen Orr Spurrier Banks. 2007, the Texas Rangers rout the Baltimore Orioles 30-3, the most runs scored by a team in modern Major League history. I think that's been broken since then.
30 runs. Wow.
Yeah, somebody scored a bunch the other day. All right, JC, give me some. We got a bunch of people here that want some Peachland Dental picks for games tomorrow.
Okay, we'll look at that. First thing I want to just bring up before we get to that, if we have a few minutes, is the golf.
Who's winning?
Your guy. Who's winning? You asked that question. You knew exactly. And I thought I was going to be the guy bragging about it because I had Justin Thomas until he.
But here's the thing.
On 16.
Scotty is lurking. He's right where he wants to be.
You can still get him at plus odds. Do it. Okay, do it. It's so ridiculous right now with Scotty Scheffler that they are now coming out in these books with yes/no votes. Think about that. You can have the entire field lay a little juice and just hope Scotty doesn't win and win your bet. That's crazy. And so we've got Tommy Fleetwood at 9-1. I'm really kind of pulling for him. Henley is 350-1. Those are not great odds. Those are short odds, and the Scheffler is just above even money. I still think you can get in on Justin Thomas and Rory at better than 12 and 16-1. Your pick of Henley right now is the leader in the clubhouse. So good job there, QB. And we'll see how that works out over the weekend. So week 0, as they call it, Farmageddon is being played in Ireland. And
so dumb.
Farmageddon, yeah, I know you're not a fan of this, but
I just think it's dumb when they're a couple hundred miles apart.
Yeah. These are two conference rivals playing 7-8 hour flight away. There will be so much beer drank by Iowa State fans that they will be amazed, the Irish, at how they will be Iowa State fans by the time the game's over, I would think. And Iowa State has kind of owned this series. But I like Avery Johnson, and I think he's going to be the difference in this game. I'm going to take Kansas State and lay the 3, even though Iowa State has had their way with K-State in the past 4 or 5 years. Take Kansas State, lay the field goal. Now that it's underneath 3.5, I think that's a good number. It's basically a pick 'em. So I'm going to go with Kansas State. I think they're better. I think UNLV will easily cover against Idaho State. Dan Mullen is going to make a statement as their new coach. UNLV won something like 10 or 11 games. They have some players over there in Vegas. I think this is a big year for Vegas. I think they've got a real chance to win the Mountain West, and I think Idaho State is just what Idaho State is. I don't even know what their nickname is, QB. And then you've got the other Kansas team playing at home against Fresno State I think they're in the new ballpark. I don't think this game is in Arrowhead. So
no, they got a new they got a new ballpark, and they got their $300 million sitting in their bank account.
I think they will exploit the newness of it. They'll cover the 2 touchdowns. I mean, I hate taking all this chalk, but these early games I think are mismatches for the most part. I think Hawaii laying less than a field goal at home against just an awful Stanford roster is the bet to take at night when you are 3-0. So just go ahead.
Isn't Frank Reich their head coach now?
He is. Stanford's head coach is Frank Reich, and their athletic director is Andrew Luck. And
is he the AD or is he the director, like the
okay, maybe
CEO?
He's that. Okay, he could be that. He's just in charge of something over there.
He's in charge of the football program. He's like the general manager.
Maybe he's the general manager instead of the AD. Regardless, it's this program that complains about not having money or support, and yet they've got $33 billion sitting in the endowment. It's not a question of whether or not people want to support Stanford football. Stanford football doesn't give them a reason to, and neither does the administration. They don't care. Yeah. They have a nice little ballpark. They could do some good things being in the ACC, but they don't care. That part of the world does not care about college football, or at least the majority of people do not care about college football. That is a fact. I can tell you that, having been there during a football weekend, and all they care about mostly are the 49ers, and some people don't even like the fact that they have to go to Santa Clara to watch the 49ers. So they're not in San Francisco. They're the Santa Clara 49ers. So that whole area is just a mess for football. If the San Francisco Giants were in the pennant race, that's all they would care about over there right now. It's not Stanford. So take Hawaii. I'm not a big fan of Hawaii.
Is Timmy Chang their head coach?
I couldn't tell you, but I think that Hawaii is going to cover this game because of just the pathetic nature of Stanford football right now. And the fact that they're in the ACC is even more of a joke. But call it for what you want. Call it whatever you want. It's a mess over there. And Hawaii, I think, will win a home game. They had a good record last year at home, Hawaii did. Believe it or not, they did. And they beat New Mexico by 8 last time they played. They score a lot of points. He probably is their coach, QB. But and he is, by the way. Timmy Chang is their coach. He is their coach. They're playing in Honolulu. I love Hawaii in that game, and I hope I'm right. But K-State's my big pick. I like Kansas. I like Vegas laying a big number, and I'll take Hawaii. You going to go with any of those? You going to take anybody?
I'd be careful with Kansas State. I do think UNLV runs them out of the building.
Yes.
Barone 71 says, QB, did players in your era care about jersey numbers? Yes.
Oh yeah.
But I will tell you this: they didn't care about this stupid ass number 1 thing that the fans are so enamored with.
Why is that, QB?
I don't know why people get so enamored with. Like,
I don't
you're going to wear number 1 for this team. Nobody, by the way, is wearing number 1 this year for the Gators. The team decided on that.
That's right.
But I can promise you, if some kid wore that number in high school, he would probably want to wear it here. But I've never understood, if you grew up wearing number 10 and then you're one of the better players, you're voted team captain, and they said, okay, you got to wear number 1. I would say, hell no, I don't. I'm wearing number 10. That's my number. Mm-hmm. I've never understood that.
Yeah. Well, one of the things
now at some schools like Chucky Mullins, if you get voted by your team at Ole Miss to wear 38, that's an honor. I get that. But other than that, the number 1 thing is dumb.
I think it's also silly to watch defensive linemen wear single-digit numbers.
Well, that when the NFL changed that, it's ridiculous.
I don't like that. Carlos Dunlap he's number 8.
Yeah, because he wore 8 here, I think.
Okay, well, I'm not a fan of that, but listen, it's not up to me, right? Yeah. I just tell you what we just tell everybody what we like, QB, and what we don't like. That's it.
All right. We got to get to talk a little NFL with Pete, JC. Have a good weekend. Good luck on your picks and working out. That's JC. Join us on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Take a quick time out. Come back. We'll be joined by Pete Prisco from CBS Sports. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the International Diamond Center Studios. We'll be right back.
Our premium sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union,
International Diamond Center,
Meldon Law, QC Kinetics, UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute, JF Hayden Craft Liqueurs, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Los Linderos Tequila. Gridiron sponsors are Baker Sporting Goods, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Meals Cheesesteak, Celebrate Primary Care, Dowling Sign, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Nest and Wow, MG&A Wealth Management. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. To become a sponsor, call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
Hi there, this is Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
The most important thing I learned from my father was work ethic and integrity. Never veer away from integrity, even if it costs you money.
International Diamond Center owner Keith LeClaire.
The core value for IDC is to protect the customer.
That means offering the largest selection, uncompromising quality, the strongest warranties, and honest guidance from experts who are not paid on commission. International Diamond Center at Celebration Point. Online, shopidc.com.
What's up, everyone? I'm Mike Pouncey, and this is my twin brother Marquise Pouncey, and this is Life After Football. Let's go. We are the owners of Tropical Distillery, and JF Hayden's is our liqueur brand. We have 5 different flavors: a mango, a lychee, an espresso, citrus, and key lime pie. We pride ourselves on not only being a Florida-made brand, but also a cocktail solution. With that being said, cheers and go Gators.
Welcome back to the International Diamond Center Studios. Florida Crackers, the brand for original Floridians. Great food and southern hospitality in the center of the University of Brooksville, Florida. FloridaCracker.com. Back to the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Tent. We're joined by Pete Prisco from CBS Sports, covers the NFL, does a tremendous job. Good morning, Pete. How you doing?
Good, Shane. How are you?
Good. We got a bunch of texts here on the Titan More text line, and majority of them want your thoughts on Anthony Richardson not being named the starter for the Colts.
Well, it surprised me because I think it basically closes the book on him in Indy, and they've kind of sent the message what they think about him. But what does Daniel Jones do for you? I mean, to me, that's not the answer. So I would have played Anthony Richardson, give it at least 5, 6, 7 games to find out what he is. But I guess this tells us what they think he is. And the reality is they don't think he's their franchise quarterback. So they went with Daniel Jones. I was surprised by it, Shane. I really was. And, you heard all the good stuff coming out of the offseason, that he finally was dedicated and he was putting the work in and he had matured. I wanted to see it play out for at least 5 or 6 games. And if it didn't work then you make the change. But they obviously think that Daniel Jones gives them a better chance to win right now.
Do you think, I don't know when his contract runs out, but is it one of these deals where they wait for that, or they try to trade him, or you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, he's only 25, right? I think he's younger than a lot of quarterbacks in this league, or even 24. But so I think there would be a team out there that might be looking for a guy to be a backup and come in and give him an opportunity. You know how this league is. One guy's trash is another, team's treasure, and it happens at quarterback a lot. Look at Sam Darnold. I mean,
Yeah.
Sam Darnold was a reject, and he goes to the Vikings, and all of a sudden now he's starting in Seattle. So I think there will be an opportunity. And again, where is he in terms of what he does off the field? And you know this, you played the position. You got to be the first guy in and the last guy out. You got to watch tape. You got to spend countless hours around the facility. And you heard that wasn't exactly the case early in his career. It got better this year, but where is he from that standpoint? Because I think that's important for teams and important for his future.
Yeah. Andy's question on Facebook Live brought to you by Mel Law says, Pete, how do you think the NFC North is going to play out this season? How improved will the Bears be?
The Bears will be better. I think they're a year away. And that division's tough. I'm bullish on the Packers. I think the Packers are loaded. And the reason I say that, they were the youngest team in the league last year, went to Philly in the playoffs, had so many injuries, fumbled the ball in the opening kickoff, and they were still in that game. And I think when you have a team that has a lot of first year players that now are in their second year and second year players are now in their third year, you're going to see growth from that team. Love wasn't healthy all year last year. He didn't practice a lot during the season, and talking to people up there, he's a guy that needs to practice. He gets some bad mechanics and bad techniques when he doesn't practice. So putting it all together, I think the Packers will win the division. I think the Lions are probably the second team. And then I'm worried about the Vikings because I'm not as sold on JJ McCarthy as
Me
everybody
either.
else is. I'm just
I don't
not.
get it.
No, I mean, I have to see it to believe it. Everybody always says, well, he's got a great situation. He's got McCown as his quarterback coach. He's got O'Connell as being a great player. I don't care. It doesn't matter. You have to be able to do it. I'm not sold on him. So I think the Bears will push the Vikings, but I think the Bears are really a year away to see what they do and maybe win that division.
Braun71 on YouTube brought to you by Quality Plumbing. I have this feeling the Dolphin season is going to implode like a South Florida sinkhole. Tua can't stay healthy, and I feel McDaniels is overrated. What's Pete's thoughts on the Dolphins?
I picked them last in the division. And I went down and watched them practice with Jacksonville yesterday, and I'll be honest with you, both teams stunk. It was like, it was the last day, essentially the last day of training camps, like the last day of school. Everybody's done and they want to get the hell over with, and run out of there. And it was a bad practice on both sides. Trevor Lawrence didn't look good. Tua had a good red zone, but then he looked bad. Their offensive line didn't look good. Miami's defense did some good things, but there's major questions at corner. I'm with them. I think this is a bad year for Miami. And if it is, McDaniel's probably gone, Chris Greer's probably gone, and they have to have major changes. But that's not a great roster right now.
Well, let's talk about the Jaguars. They're practicing against them. Your thoughts on the Jags with Liam Cohen taking over?
I think Liam Cohen's done a nice job so far. One of the things, and I'm sure you watch the games too, they've tightened up Trevor Lawrence. And I think it had to happen in terms of the mechanics. He was a long strider, his release was high. And I think they've tightened him up, and he's had good games. He was bad yesterday in practice, but the whole team was. But he's had good games so far in the preseason, and the mechanics have kind of transferred over. You know this, Shane. Sometimes when a guy works on it and then he gets to the game, he goes back to what he knows. And so far, it hasn't happened. I think the offense is going to be fine. I think they'll score points. I'm worried about the defense, the interior of the defensive line. Armstead's not a kid anymore. He hasn't practiced much in training camp. Mason Smith, I think he's the key in the interior. He's got a ton of talent. We saw it at the end of last year, but he hasn't practiced until yesterday, the entire training camp. So if they can stop the run, they'll be pretty good on defense. If they have that same problem they've had over the course of, a couple of years, they're going to have problems on defense.
Okay. What about the Bucs? Obviously, a lot of people here saw Trask play in the first preseason game, played pretty well. They want to know why he won't get his shot. It's like, look, I think Kyle's going to be a backup for 10 years or more in the league. He's that kind of guy. Do you think he ever gets a chance to start? And your thoughts on the Bucs?
No, I don't. I think he's like you said. I think he's a backup. I think that's what is. Sometimes it's okay to be just a backup, and you can make a lot of money being a backup. So I think that's who he is. And I remember going there a couple years ago, and they actually had a legitimate quarterback competition at one point with Baker Mayfield and him when Dave Canales was the offensive coordinator. And I said, "Come on, give me a break. That can't be real." And they said, "No, it's real." And that day they practiced inside the bubble, and Baker didn't play very well. So the competition was real. it was, in hindsight, was it really real? I mean, look, Baker has taken off since then. And by the way, I love that team. I think that's one of the sneaky teams in the league this year. You look at that team talent-wise across the board. I mean, they have every guy on offense back when they're healthy. Now, Wirfs isn't there yet. He will be. Godwin isn't there yet, but he will be. But everybody's back. That doesn't happen in this league. And then you add Ibuka to it, who they all rave about. When I was there in training camp, they were all raving about Ibuka. So now all of a sudden, McMillan went down. That hurts him a little bit. But all of a sudden, you have this group that's going to be dynamic on offense. New play caller, so that's a change. Cohen left. Josh Grizzard has never called plays before, so we'll see. But defensively, youth and a great mix of youth and age. Kalijah Cansey, to me, he might be the breakout defensive player in the entire league this year. I think he's going to be a monster on that defensive line playing next to Vita Vea. They got some young corners they really like. Parrish, the rookie from Kansas State's been really good. Morrison, when he's been on the field, might have pushed for the starting job. So I love the Bucs. I think the Bucs are going to push for the Super Bowl this year. I really do.
Dan on Facebook Live, who lives out in Dallas, wants to know your thoughts on the Cowboys.
Well, the Micah Parsons situation is getting so tiring, Shane. I mean, my gosh, every week, every day, the news media jumps on it. The agent plays the news media. Then Jerry comes out, and here's what's going to happen: the contract will get done week 1. You watch. He will get the contract done. The Cowboys love being in the news. There'll be, that'll be even more news that week. But he'll show up. He'll play on opening day with a new contract. And the Cowboys, to me, are an intriguing team. They've rebuilt the offensive line. They're bigger up there. Getting Pickens gives them another guy, to go with CeeDee Lamb. And they had all the coverage was rolled his way last year. They're another team. Can they stop the run? They've had so many issues stopping the run. Mozzie Smith was a first-round pick, hasn't kind of worked out, which I'm surprised by. But they need to be better stopping the run too.
Here's a text on the Titan MR text line from Jimmy right here in Gainesville. He wants to know your thoughts on the Browns quarterback situation.
It is what it is. And everybody always goes, oh my gosh, Shador went in and played. Why isn't he? Here's the thing about off-season work, and you know this. You get there in April. You work all the way through to minicamp. Okay, you're on the field, OTA days. Then you work in minicamp. Then you get to training camp. And then just because he plays well against a bunch of guys, backups and some of those starters, but still, should he be the starter? No, then we're just discounting the entire offseason of work. And is Kevin Stefanski stupid? I don't think he is. He's a smart guy. He's a smart coach. So he's fourth for a reason. Now, 1 is Flacco, 2 is Pickett, 3 is Gabriel, and then 4 is Shador. So will they keep 4? They keep saying that. I don't believe it. What I think might happen is I think Pickett might get peddled or he's hurt, and then they keep the 2 rookies. It'll be 1 will be Flacco, 2 will be Gabriel, and 3 will be Shador.
What do you think about Jackson Dart as a player, what you've seen? I mean, obviously you watched him play at Ole Miss, but how do you think he's looked so far? And we all know it's preseason, but do you think he might eventually become the starter with the Giants?
I think he will become the starter at some point this year. I think that organization right now is looking at saying that we have a good defensive line. We think we might be able to run the ball. And Russell Wilson will hit some of those deep moon balls down the field, and maybe we win some games early. But when they start losing games, which is probably going to happen, then I think Dart takes over. And the sooner you get to the guy, the better off it is to find out what he is. And so I'm in the belief that you play the guy and find out what he is, because if you wait and then he plays next year, that's a year longer you have to wait to try and figure out who he is. And what happens if the coaching staff gets fired? Then you have a whole new system he has to learn. So I think he'll play at some point this year. I didn't love him coming out. There were some flaws in his game that I didn't like. He's done a nice job of adapting to the NFL game. I still worry about the arm strength a little bit. It's good. It's not great. And does he anticipate well enough? So I think there's some things to worry about, but he needs to play. They need to find out who he is.
Silverback Concrete builds firm foundations for generations. You stand on it, we stand by it. A few more minutes with Pete Prisco here from CBS.
By the way, Shane, can I have the quarterback at Ole Miss for this year into the draft next year? That's the one that everybody's sleeping on. I don't know if you watched that kid.
Austin Simmons?
Oh, my. I think he's going to be a good one. And, by the way, he's draft eligible next year. People don't realize that.
How is he? Because he's already graduated?
No, he's a redshirt. He's a redshirt sophomore. So 3 years in, you can come out. So he's eligible in the draft next year. So He went in against Georgia last year, and he acted like it was nothing. Yeah, I don't even remember that, but he went in, he ran around. He can run. He's a baseball pitcher. He throws at 95, and he can zip the ball. That's the guy that people are sleeping on around the country right now.
What do you think about DJ Lagway as a pro?
I like him. I think there's a lot to like. I worry about the injury stuff. I mean, if you're always hurt, right? I mean, that
Yeah.
becomes a pattern. Same with Anthony Richardson. He's always been hurt, and that becomes a pattern. I think he has a ton of talent, big time upside, but you got to be on the field. The best ability is availability.
All right, so we got a question here. What do you think about Arch Manning?
To be determined. I like what I saw from him, just like with Austin Simmons. But again, when you're now the quarterback and everything's thrown on you, now we'll go see. It's interesting. I talked to one of his old receivers last week, and I said from Texas, I said, what do you think of Arch? He goes, he's good. He's good. I go, is he better than Ewers? And he said no. And I'm like, well. And by the way, Ewers has been actually pretty good in Miami's camp. I think that surprised some people. But Arch Manning has a lot of pressure on him. But I do like him. He's big. He can move. I mean, he's not a typical Manning because he can run.
Right.
I mean, he can move. He can actually move and get outside the pocket. But I have to. I'm one of those guys that has to see it. I like what I see so far. But again, give me the whole season and give me the whole body of work. Same with Simmons, by the way.
All right, so we got a text here from Jimmy on the Titan Tomorrow text line. He wants to know, Pete, who do you think is the best team in the NFL right now, and who is the worst team?
Buffalo's the best team, top to bottom. And I mean, they've made some really good moves in the offseason. Think about this. They have all 10 of their offensive linemen, the top 10, all of them back. That never happens. And Aaron Kromer is one of the best line coaches in football. And he said he can't remember a time when all 10 have been back, and they're good up front. And on the defensive line, they had the Sanders kid from South Carolina. They had Walker from Kentucky, and both of those guys have been really good in training camp. And you get Bosa, keep them in bubble wrap until December and January when you need them. And they signed Okunjobi and Hoyt. Now, both those guys are on, suspensions for 6 games. But when they all come back, they're loaded up front now. So I think that team is the best team. And Josh Allen, we know what he can do. And then the worst team is New Orleans. I don't think there's any question about that. I think age, salary cap has crept in there and become a problem. But more than that, the quarterback position. I mean, is it Rattler? Is it Stuck? Is it Matter? And are they waiting for Arch Manning to come out next year and have the number 1 overall pick and get him?
Oh, could you imagine if he gets picked by the Saints? I didn't even think about that. Wow. So who you got in the Super Bowl right now? Today on whatever the 22nd.
Buffalo, Green Bay.
Buffalo, Green Bay. Okay.
Yep. I like ascending teams that may, Buffalo's there, but Green Bay to me is ready to take the next step. And Edgerrin Cooper, by the way, might be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year this year. That's how impressive he's been for them, the linebacker from A&M.
Gary on the Titan Tomorrow text line wants to know your thoughts on Ashton Jeanty. You think he'll be a good pro?
Absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. I think he's one of those running backs. Would I have drafted him? Probably. Where I drafted him? Probably not. I mean, I'm a big believer that you can find running backs everywhere, but he is a special runner, so it gives you credence to take him there. It's just like, there are certain players you take maybe above and beyond the position value. He's one of them in my mind, so I think he's going to have a big season.
And then another text here from Eric on the Titan Tomorrow text line, and he lives in Stark, wants to know, how do you think Bill Belichick is going to do at North Carolina?
That's a good question. How's his recruiting been? It's been pretty good, right? He's a great coach. They'll be disciplined. They'll play well. But again, it's all about talent. I mean, can North Carolina go play with Clemson? Looking at their roster, I don't think so. Clemson's loaded. They're one of the better teams in the country. But they'll be, 7, 8 wins in that conference, I think. He's that good a coach.
Yeah. All right, last one. We'll get you out of here. This is from Barry. He says, Pete, if you were to start a franchise, who would your head coach be and your quarterback?
Wow. Quarterback would be Mahomes. I think that's easy. For all the talk about he's not the elite of the elite anymore, I don't buy that. He's still the best of the best. And so he'd be and you know what? It might be Andy Reid. It might be Andy Reid, Mahomes. And here's the thing on Andy Reid. Andy Reid can take down Shula if he coaches long enough. He only needs about 2 or 3 more years. He's going to take down. If he takes that down and gets another Super Bowl, he might be considered the greatest coach of all time. And that's pretty amazing stuff when you think about it.
I've said on this program about 3 years ago that I think Mahomes is going to win more Super Bowls than freaking Brady. Now, that's hard to do. What's he got? He's got three. And how many years has he been the starter? 6?
7 now, isn't it?
But he's been in the Super Bowl multiple times. I mean, more than.
And he's lost a couple. Yeah.
He's lost in the championship game. I mean, he's got.
He lost to Brady in the championship game, and he lost to Burrow in that one. Yeah. And so when you think about it, and the Brady one was an overtime one, remember?
Yeah.
And if D4 doesn't get called going off sides on that one play, they win that one too. So the Bucs one was a byproduct of a bad offensive line. They fixed it. They went back and won it. Last year's was a byproduct of a bad offensive line. They fixed it. They drafted the best offensive lineman in the draft, and he's starting at left tackle for him, Josh Simmons from Ohio State. He had questions about his leg and knee, but he's starting for him. They moved the tackle from Suamatia from left tackle to left guard. Now all of a sudden, the left side, bigger, stronger, more powerful. They're going to be right back in the mix. He might go. They're the favorite to go back again.
Yeah.
So yeah, those two, that coach quarterback combination is unreal.
It really is. Pete, I appreciate your time. Great stuff. Let everybody know how they can follow you on your show and on Twitter.
CBS Sports HQ. You can find it on Paramount Plus. We're on CBS Sports Network starting 2 weeks from Tuesday. Me and Kyle Long will be doing our game picks every Tuesday afternoon on CBS Sports Network. Prisco CBS on Twitter. And by the way, Shane, quit bringing Hicken down to Gainesville, would you?
He loves to come do that at Gator show we do.
He does.
Pete, appreciate it, buddy. Have a good year, and we'll talk to you soon.
You got it, Shane. Take care.
That's Pete Prisco from CBS Sports. Join us on the Titan and More Highline, courtesy of Comfort Town. Miapa Latin Cafe, proud to support Gator Nation for 22 years. New location open in Alachua. New building, same great food served with a smile. Check out one of our 5 locations today. That's going to do it for today's program. Again, thanks to Pete Prisco talking a little NFL with us. And then JC. Next week is game week. We'll get right into it, folks. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.